Well, hello YouTube, Steve Patton with General Patton Bushcraft, back with you friends. Back out in the backyard bringing you another video. This is part 2 to the Alone Season 12 Meet the Contestants video. On the part 1 I did the first 5 contestants, and on this video right here I'm going to do the second 5 contestants. This is part 2 of Alone Season 12 South Africa Meet the Contestants. Stay with me. All right, friends, let's get right into it. This is part 2, South Africa, the Great Karoo. This is called the Land of Thirst. Remember, all of the Alone shows have been up in Canada. This is the first one in South Africa. A little bit different spin, a little bit different terrain, different animals, different weather. Everything is completely different, but let's get right into it. And on this show, on today's part 2, we're going to start with Douglas S. Meyer. He's 57 years old, from Kannapolis, North Carolina, and he's a primitive technology instructor by profession. Doug's journey began in New Albany, Indiana, where he spent his early years before moving to Concord, North Carolina at the age of 15. Alongside his brothers, Robbie and Ronnie, he cherished weekends at their cabin on Rough River Lake in Kentucky, where they immersed themselves in outdoor adventures, sparking Doug's lifelong passion for nature and primitive skills. Following his high school years, Doug enlisted in the Army as a combat engineer before pursuing his academic interest at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte, where he delved into history and anthropology. It was during an anthropology field trip to the Shield Museum that he encountered Steve Watts, a master of primitive skills whose demonstrations ignited Doug's fascination with ancient crafts. Under the mentorship of luminaries like Steve Watts, Eric Callahan, and Charles Worsham, Doug honed his skills in survival, tracking, and craftsmanship. He dedicated himself to mastering the intricacies of primitive living, drawing inspiration from cultures around the world. Doug's passion for preserving ancient traditions led him to share his expertise with audiences worldwide, conducting demonstrations and workshops and contributing to the preservation of indigenous knowledge. He authored books on Native American blowguns and Stone Age survival, enriching the understanding of primitive technologies and their cultural significance. Today, Doug resides in Kannapolis, North Carolina, with his wife of over 3 decades, Jana, and their beloved Shih Tzus, Sassy and Sadie. Together they continue to embrace life filled with gratitude, honoring the timeless wisdom of their ancestors and inspiring future generations to connect with nature and traditional skills. Here are the 10 items Douglas selected to bring on his survival journey: blanket, bivy bag, pot, water bottle, ferro rod, Leatherman, machete, fishing gear, bow and arrows, and number 10, pemmican. Let's move on to the next one. The next contestant is Doug North. That's spelled D-U-G. Doug North, age 53, hometown Nashua, New Hampshire. Profession is a user experience designer. Doug North grew up on a small farm in the hills of Vermont. Being surrounded by forests, he was fascinated by the wilderness survival books of Ellsworth Yeager, Bradford Angier, and Tom Brown Jr. He spent many hours hunting and fishing with his father in nearby New Hampshire. Doug went on to earn an undergraduate degree in anthropology at the University of Vermont and a graduate degree from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. He was most interested in how humans have survived and thrived in diverse environments around the globe and through time. After college, he spent several years working as an archaeologist. Over the years, Doug's occupations and personal interests have focused on how to make things. He has made everything from swanky restaurant signs to tiny antique clock parts to giant pumpkin-throwing trebuchets. His hand-cranked mechanical sculptures have found their way into private collections and public museums. Doug spent 5 years operating an antique clock restoration business in which he used antique tools to replicate historical fabrication techniques. Doug has written several magazine articles and dozens of blog posts describing how to make objects out of wood and metal. As a primary contributor, his name is featured on the cover of the book titled Big Book of Gizmos and Gadgets. That's from Fox Chappell Publishing 2016. In recent years, his love of making things has found expression in the field of ancestral skills. He has learned to make fire containers, cordage, traps, shelters, hunting, weapons, and tools. Doug's very first anthropology class in college featured a film about the Kong people of southern Africa. He is thrilled to have the chance to have an adventure in the same part of the world, one that is so rich in human history. Here are the 10 items Doug selected to bring on his survival journey: a pot, canteen, Leatherman, tarp, ferro rod, fishing gear, shovel, bow, salt, and blanket. All right, Doug North, he's bringing the salt, and the other Doug, he's bringing the pemmican. All right, friends, the third contestant is Jeet Patel, age 35, hometown Anakiwa, New Zealand, profession outdoor educator. Jeet, spelled J-I-T, was born in the UK and grew up in South London. He was introduced to the outdoors mainly through school camps, but at 14 joined the Army Cadets. This gave him his first experience embracing the elements and learning to push himself through challenges. With all that travel, he knew the UK might not be where he would settle down, but was keen to find that place. He spent a year in Australia and then went to New Zealand on a working holiday visa. It was in New Zealand where he began working for Outward Bound, an outdoor education charity that believes in building resilience and learning more about yourself and others by living and adventuring together in the outdoors. His first full-time job saw him in that role for nearly 3 years before moving into the office as the operations manager. Being from the UK, hunting was not part of growing up. However, colleagues at Outward Bound introduced him to blow hunting and the mindfulness that comes with stalking, shooting, and processing your own game. During this transition away from the field and into the office, he got his dog Ahi and met his partner Mahdi. Whilst his parents still live in the UK and his brother's family in Singapore, he's hoping to make New Zealand his home. He's grateful to his parents and brother who have always supported and encouraged him to take on new challenges, explore the world, and follow his passions. And to his partner Mahdi for encouraging him on his journey and who he can't wait to face the challenges ahead with. Here are the 10 items Jeet selected to bring on his survival journey: bow and arrows, fishing gear, pot, ferro rod, water bottle, multi-tool, paracord, shovel, tarp, and saw. Pretty standard. No food items for Jeet. All right, friends, the next contestant is Nathan Olson, 52 years old, from Bowie, Idaho. He is a tech CEO by profession. Nathan Olson lives in southern Idaho with his wife Erica and a blended family of 10 children and 2 grandchildren. This big family lifestyle is nothing new for Nathan, who grew up in a large Mormon family and whose brother Luke Olson competed in Alone Season 10. As a young introvert, Nathan learned to cope with living in a high-density home by frequently escaping to the surrounding wilderness of southern Idaho. At age 10, he took his desire to be alone a step further by convincing his parents to let him homeschool and become a sheep herder. A typical homeschool day involved packing some books and leading his flock of Suffolk to graze the canyon upstream from the family home. My first homeschool assignment was to find an arrowhead, draw a picture of it in place, and write a story about how it got there. Nathan feels grateful to have parents who encouraged each child to develop their interests from a young age. At age 15, Nathan enrolled in college and earned a Bachelor of Science in Soil Science and eventually a Master's in Business Administration. He worked as a field guide for the Anasazi Foundation, an outdoor therapeutic program co-founded by his father, Larry Dean Olson. Nathan farmed potatoes in Turkey and Romania, and for the past 20 years has been the CEO of Best Notes, a software company started with his brothers. Erica and Nathan decided to get married after sitting on the couch binge watching all of the Alone series. By participating in the show, Nathan and Erica hope to model for their children and grandchildren the courage to pursue their interests and do hard things even with uncertain outcomes. Here are the 10 items Nathan selected to bring on his survival journey: a cook pot, canteen, Leatherman, knife, bow and arrows, fishing gear, blanket, salt, soap, and ferro rod. Oh wow, that's the first contestant that I've seen bring soap. We'll see how it pays off. Okay friends, the final contestant of this part 2 and the 10th contestant of the overall amount of contestants that are going to be on this year's Alone show, season 12, South Africa, the Great Karoo Desert, is Katie Ridge, age 46. Her hometown is Emerald Beach, Gumbayniger Country, New South Wales, Australia. And I apologize, I know I butchered that name, but it's in New South Wales, Australia. Her profession is a survival skills instructor and mentor. Katie is the co-founder of Nature Philosophy, lives on Gumbayniger County on the east coast of Australia, and has 2 children, Ella and Hunter. Since Katie was a child, she has felt a deep kinship with the natural world and grew up both in the city and on ranches where she spent many years riding horses in remote locations and mustering cattle. In her early 20s, she left Australia for the USA, where she dove deeply into a broad range of primitive living skills, solo wilderness rites of passage, and survival. That was over 20 years ago, and since that time, she has dedicated herself to mastering and teaching these skills to her Australian community. Katie has also spent the last 15 years, let me turn the light on, guiding groups into a remote Australian Aboriginal community in Arnhem Land. Her time spent with the Yolgu people has deeply inspired her outlook on life and understanding of survival. Katie's participation on Alone is an initiation into the next phase of her life, a true survival quest that will be the ultimate test of her survival philosophy, physical ability, and spiritual skills. Through sharing her journey, she hopes to inspire women all over the world to discover their strength by connecting with the natural world. Here are the 10 items Katie selected to bring on her survival journey: bow and arrows, fishing line and hooks, a Leatherman, silky saw, water pot, axe, ferro rod. She's bringing salt, canvas tarp, and a blanket. All pretty traditional picks, except for the salt. I think the salt is really smart, actually. All right, friends, those are the 5 contestants for Alone Season 12 on Part 2 of Meet the Contestants. I appreciate you stopping by. I am super excited for Alone Season 12 to start. It starts next month in June. You guys gotta check back often. I will be recapping every single one of the episodes. All right. I appreciate everything you do for the channel. All your views, all your likes, all your shares. Most importantly, all your comments. I want to hear from some of you women out there. Let me know who you think's going to win this year's Season 12 of Alone. All right. Before you leave, please consider subscribing. Give the video a like. Help me battle this algorithm. I'm battling this algorithm. I need your help. I need a comment. I need a thumbs up. All right. Please, please don't depart from the faith. And if you haven't already, give your life to Christ, friends. Do it today. Don't wait. Died on the cross for you. Loves you very much. Don't wait. And as always, God is good. God is great. I'll see y'all on the next video. Already got a date.